Looking back at that game, I mean, even though they had a lot of yards, I think midway through the third quarter, you still had a shutout. How did you feel up until that point? How did you feel about how you guys were playing? Were you guys executing what you were trying to do?
Um, we got some red zone stops and created some things that are always positive, but no, we weren't playing good enough. We were a little bit loose with some things that we wanted to be tighter with, and at all different levels. Whether it was missed tackles, whether it was coverage, whether it was the rush. We weren't playing great. At halftime, and it was a fine balance of when you're in at halftime saying, listen, this is going well, this is not going well, this needs to be addressed, this needs to be changed, and then go back and do a better job of executing for sure.
Next will be Chris Need from Knowles 247.
Coach Fuller, when you guys lost Joshua Kando, how did the other DNs do with stepping up guys like Deontay Williams and some young guys?
Yeah, not good enough. But listen, when somebody goes down, somebody's role is going to increase. That's always going to happen. Whether it's moving guys around, whether it's the next man up, whatever that has to be. So we've got to get better at a lot of places, including Josh's position. That was unfortunate, but things happen. And we got to be prepared when the next guy goes in to play better. And just collectively, not just at that position, but just collectively.
Next will be Pat Burnham from the Osceola.
Hey, Coach, one of the things that was a bugaboo for the defense last year was giving up chunk plays, and you guys gave up 18 plays of 10 yards or more on Saturday night. How critical is it to get that shored up, and how do you do it? And also, against today's offenses, what's it allowable, or what's your goal for those types of plays?
The goal is not to give up any, and we want to make, there's certain times that plays happen, good throws, good catches happen. The challenge to our guys is when there are one-on-one plays, we got to make our plays, right? And, whatever that is, some are schematically, over the years that somebody makes a play, some are one-on-one matchups, some are just, great plays, but the challenge to our guys is when we're in that situation, whether it's a corner, whether it's a pass rusher, whether it's a tackle, whatever that is, good defenses find ways to make their share, to get them to third downs and then win the third downs, and that's critical for us to make sure that we get better in all areas of that. We don't want to give up 10-yard plays, but we do track any plays of 20 or more, because the challenge is, it happened, but it didn't happen, right? You make teams drive the field. You don't ever want to happen. You want to go 3 and out every time. You want to take the ball away quickly. But when the plays do happen, there are some critical things. The ability to tackle. Our goal is 10 or less, each game. We had way too many Saturday. The next thing is third down defense, because that gives you the ability to get off the field. That involves takeaways, right? The sooner you can get the ball back. Then it comes down to some red zone defense as well. The red zone defense at times was good, including the Pride team getting some block kicks. You don't want to rely on those things, but it's all part of it. But when you give up chunk plays, that obviously creates major moves down the football field. And, whether it's tighter coverage, whether it's tighter run fits, whether it's just tackling the ball better when you're in that position, all of that needs to get tighter.
Next will be Aslan Hazavandi from War Chant.
When you can't get pressure from your front four, you as defensive coordinator, is it easier, I guess lack of a better term, to maybe mix up coverages to help get negative plays and get the defense off the field, or do you have to become more aggressive and try to find other guys, whether it's at defensive end or bring more pressure?
Both. I think pressure is when coverage and rush work together, right? You'd rather not put stress on the coverage, but there are sacks that happen 5 seconds into the play, and you tip your hat to the coverage. Sometimes there's guys that get beat, but you win up front and you get a 2.5-second sack. And the coaching is always that the rush and the coverage work together. There were some plays that got extended Saturday that fell on the rush. There were some losses at the line of scrimmage, whether it's in press or zone, that created some quicker throws and didn't allow the rush to get there. So it was a little bit of both. Listen, we want to generate more pressure, and I've got to do a better job of making sure that there's enough pressure within each situation, regardless of the situation. So, it works together, and that's from day one. We're always talking about that. How do you rush the quarterback? How do you impact the passer and play tight coverage? When you play off coverage, how does the rush work together in order to help the coverage? It's a working plan that works together.
Next question is Kurt Weiler from Tallahassee Democrat.
Hey, Coach. You obviously a guy like Jeff Sims is going to make it tougher on him just in terms of how he can plays. How do you evaluate, looking back at film, what the secondary did well and maybe didn't do as well in that game?
There were a couple one-on-one balls that we lost. There were 2 balls that should have been picked that weren't. Asante made his 2 plays, or actually 3 plays that came to him. So, there's always a make-a-play grade with the DBs because those are the guys that inevitably they're going to be on one-on-ones. You try to give help sometimes, but, they're going to be on one-on-ones a lot of time. You just look at football games through it. We do roll up and try and help them at times. But overall, I think in the secondary, the guys that played, I thought, Asante had a good, solid game, in all of his, tackling, in zone coverage. I think Akeem and Jarian both want to play better. We've got to coach them better. And I think the safeties as well. I think we've got a lot of work to do. We got to be better, especially in the tackling in the open field at safety. So we're working through that right now.
We'll go back to Ira from Warchant.
For a true freshman to be as productive as Steven Dix was, how pleased were you with that, and how did he? Obviously he was productive, but how did he handle his assignments and all of that?
Steven did a good job. It was a goal of ours. We want to make sure that keep Leonard fresh, keep Steven fresh. That was a role that happened, but Steven did not let us down. He played hard, got off his blocks. Assignment-wise was solid. Steven's going to continue to play more and more football.
Next will be Brendan Seminoles from Knowles 247.
Adam, I had 2 questions for you. The first, I was hoping you could evaluate Amari Gander's play. It seemed like he was all over the place. How did he do? And then the second question is, when someone like Joshua Kando goes down, an impactful player, how much does that change what you can do as a play caller in the course of a game?
Yeah, good questions. Amari did come on. That was an impactful performance. He did a nice job. Some of it we put him in good spots from a one-on-one standpoint, but that's that position. I think the stud spot, you're going to see because he's in space. He's a blitzer. He's a zone cover guy. He's an edge setter. You saw him win on the perimeter a couple times, but Amari did not let us down. His role will continue to increase. Find ways even to free him up as much as we can. When you lose any player, it's disappointing, because they work so hard to get there. But, we all know what Josh has been through. But the challenge is, guys are going to go down. And it's critical to us to make sure, there is a backup procedure that the next man goes in. But we got to continue to reshuffle to make sure that we're putting our guys in the best chance to impact not only the D-line position, but the entire defense. So, listen, losing Josh is big, but, things happen. You're not going to have 11 guys be healthy the whole year. So, we wish him a speedy recovery. He's about the right stuff, and we got to make sure we get better at the guys that are in for him.
Next will be Perry from Tomahawk Nation.
Coach, kind of in a similar vein where you have to have next man up. We saw some players shuffling around at different positions. Are you still evaluating where people can do their best, or do you kind of have a set standard for where everybody is right now?
No, never set. It just, whether we won or lost, there was going to, obviously, game 1, there's going to be more open things because you're going to see different things, right? You're playing an opponent for the first time, but no, we're far from end result. We got to keep digging and keep working, and that'll be until the day, every day is going to be like that, but especially after game 1, pieces are getting moved around. Yes, sir.
We'll go back to Pat from the Osceola.
Hey, Coach, obviously Josh Griffiths flashed from time to time. Can you talk about his play as a true freshman in his first college game?
Yeah, Josh was another freshman that we had on the field that, he's earned that right to play. And, after Saturday, he's earned the right to play again, So I think Josh is going to be a really good player for us. And, we're trying to not put too much on his plate, but we're trying to get the most out of him. So, I think Josh was fairly productive in the plays that he was in. With the position, when Josh went down, Kando, I think it, is going to add to some reps for him, which is, he's done nothing but give us confidence in investing in him right now. So, we're excited about Griffiths.
Go back to Aslan from Warchant.
Coach, did your defense overall play as fast, I guess, as you had seen them in practice? And when you look at film, can you tell that speed is still there? And if it's not, is it confusion on their part, or is it maybe just first game jitters and nerves?
Yeah, I don't think we played fast enough. There were certain plays that you looked out and you felt really good about the end result. There were plays that you didn't feel good enough, and, I think the plan, there's some first game situations that probably affected us a little bit that we got to do a better job in coaching because that can't happen. But it all comes to preparation and practice. And, has practice been super clean all the time? No. And our job is to continue to connect how that's happening in practice and make sure there's carryover on Saturday. And then we're in the midst of working through that now. But no, we didn't play as fast as we wanted to play.
All right, last one will be Ira from Warchant.
I'm sure you're not real interested in excuses or reasons for missed tackles, but it looked like around college football early this season, because of this offseason, that's kind of been a problem for a lot of teams. And how much of a factor was that, and how do you address that if it was?
Well, there's a lot of problems in college football sometimes, right? And you look at it, and whether it's tackling, whether you look out and all points given up are high, whatever that all is, but that doesn't mean it's acceptable. And our job is to find ways to make it not that way. Pursuit and tackling are like two pillars that you need to be able to do. And, we work it. The intensity of it is consistent with how we work it. Some are just putting guys in better position, and some are just the technique flaws of tackling in open space on game one. And we got to make sure. So, that's happening. It happened yesterday. It's happening today. It's going to happen again throughout the week. And, obviously, if you don't tackle the game, it's going to continue, right? From the drives, the plays, and, offensive guys need to make guys miss. They need to catch the ball. Defensive guys got to tackle guys in space. They've got to make plays on the ball in the throw game. There were times that happened. There were times that it didn't happen. So the intensity, the consistency about how we do it is something that we need to continue to evaluate, ramp up, and get better at.